The 2023 quarterback draft class is one that is filled with question marks. I've done videos on the other top QBs in the class, CJ Stroud, Will Levis, and Anthony Richardson. While I feel all of those players have major potential, they all possess enormous amounts of uncertainty. So, after all the film I watched of the three prospects, I was hoping the Bryce Young film would blow me away, stand out, and make me declare him the top dog. I can't say that thought fully came true. I will declare Bryce Young is the best QB in the class, and he should be the first quarterback taken in the upcoming draft. I came away from his film with just as many concerns as I did positives. So let me show you what makes Bryce Young the QB1, and let's observe some plays that give you a slight pause in declaring him the next franchise quarterback. So let's be honest. I don't think I need to prove to you that Bryce Young has some amazing throws on tape, because, duh, he has plenty. What I want to talk about first is the variety of routes he threw on a consistent basis. When comparing Bryce Young to the other quarterbacks, he by far throws everything in the route tree, while QBs Anthony Richardson and Will Levis very much stick to a handful of go-to routes and play designs and run them over and over and over again. You want to see out routes, curls, crossers, slants, bubble screens, dump offs to the running back, deep shots on the sideline in the middle of the field. Bryce Young really legitimately does it all. To go along with Bryce Young's ability to basically throw any route combination in the route tree is his ability to read a defense and know where to go with the ball, and he does this better than any quarterback in the class. Alright, so let's break it down and let's see what Bryce Young saw in the game. Here, Vanderbilt is going to play a cover 3 defense, so the outside defenders, the one in blue and the one in red, are basically going to bail out in coverage and cover the right and left side of the end zone, while the defender or the safety in pink is going to bail out to the middle of the field. So that means the outside defenders really aren't covering anybody, and the receivers should be open, right? But Bryce Young has to decide, if he throws his ball to the bottom of the field, that defender in green immediately takes off towards the sideline to cover the empty zone the defender in red left. So if Bryce Young throws it there, it's going to be a pick six. He can't throw it quick there, but he's smart enough to recognize no one's there, the defender in blue bailed out, and he can go to the top of the screen to the receiver in yellow, who's not on the field yet, but you'll see, runs a simple curl for an easy completion. And it's just bang, bang. It takes him a 2-step drop, he looks left, immediately goes back right, and throws the ball. And the one thing I appreciate about Bryce Young is that although he's a great player and he can make big throws, he doesn't always go for it. Here in the red zone, he doesn't try to force one into the end zone and hold on to the ball. He knows the running back's open. He looks left and he checks it down immediately. Against Tennessee, you need all the yards you can get, and he gets it down to the 2-yard line where they eventually score. Now, another aspect of Bryce Young's game that makes him so special is his accuracy. Now, the only quarterback that I think is even close to the same tier as him is CJ Stroud, but I still think Bryce Young is just a notch above. Here, against Tennessee once again, Young is going to get the shotgun snap, drop back, and pressure's coming instantly up the middle. But Young does a good job of standing in the pocket and delivers a really good thrown ball over the middle. The receiver could catch it in stride and make a play. Of course, he drops it, but still a great throw from Bryce Young. Here's another impressive throw, and a throw that Bryce Young made often on film. Here he's going to drop back, and his tight end has one-on-one coverage, and he's just going to run an out route, or if you want to call it a corner route, from the slot. And he has one-on-one coverage, the tight end boxes out his defender, and Young puts it outside and high for only his receiver to get, and the receiver comes down with it for a great catch. Here's another throw that's just really impressive. It shows his improv, his playmaking skills as a quarterback. Here, Young is going to feel the pressure, and he's going to take it outside. But while going outside, he does his signature, and you'll see this in a lot of his plays if you watch his film. He does like a little stop and pop where the edge defender runs past, Bryce Young stops, and he hits a receiver usually crossing the field. Here, this one ends in an incompletion, of course, but I think that's no fault at all to Bryce Young. I think the receiver should have caught this. Young just makes plays constantly. All over the field, it doesn't matter. Bryce Young makes plays. So the one thing that I love about this throw is it's the opposite of what I think his biggest weakness is, and I think that's poor footwork at times. I think Bryce Young, which we'll talk about later in the video, but I think one thing that he struggles with on a consistent basis is stepping into throws. I think he throws at times with a lot of hip movement, where he does a lot of hip rotation and upper arm just movement, but you need to step into throws. You need to do a little hop step, as I like to call it, and you like to step up into a pocket and throw it. Here, he does that. He shuffles. He steps up, moves his momentum forward towards the receiver and throws. He doesn't just use hip rotation and stand in place. I see that so many times from Bryce Young, and I'll talk about it later. But here, he does the thing I want him to do. He steps up in the pocket and delivers an accurate and strong throw, hits the receiver in stride, and shows off his big arm. And here's a play that ties together the two things I love about Bryce Young, his accuracy and his football IQ, knowing where to go with the ball. Here, it's just a simple 3rd and goal, red zone route. The tight end is basically going to run, plant on the goal line, try to box out the defender, and catch the ball. Bryce Young in Alabama didn't have the most talented receiving core, which is not like them at all. Usually they have studs all over the field. 2022 was a little bit different for him, and the team overall didn't have the same success. So you saw drops, so you saw a lot more incomplete passes from Bryce Young, and here's one of them. I don't care what you say, this throw's perfect. The defender's inside on the tight end, has inside leverage, so Young throws it outside. This is a hands catch that the NFL tight ends make. Before we move on to the question mark and concerns part of the video, I wanted to show you 5 plays from Bryce Young's film that literally made me go, yep, that's why Bryce Young is the #1 quarterback in this class. It's not CJ Stroud, it's not Will Levis, it's Bryce Young. Young is the only quarterback who makes these throws, and he makes it look easy. It's funny because a play that I think is so impactful and representative of Bryce Young's game is actually an incomplete pass. Here, there's pressure up the middle against Texas. Bryce Young stands in the pocket, and he gets this ball out, and I'll pause it right when he lets go. The receiver's not even out of his break yet. But yet, the ball's not too early. It doesn't hit the receiver before he can even turn. It's a literal, perfectly timed ball. If this was in the NFL, and say Bryce Young's playing for the Texans, if Brandon Cooks catches this ball, doesn't he take it 80 yards for a touchdown? If he plays for the Jets, doesn't Elijah Moore or Garrett Wilson, don't they take this to the house? This is a perfect throw, and it stood out to me because, trust me, Will Levis and Anthony Richardson and CJ Stroud, they don't have the kind of timing that Bryce Young does. One of the flaws I have with Bryce Young is that I think at times he gets kind of sloppy and loose. But I'm starting to think that might just be Bryce Young being kind of just a natural. I think it's just easy for him. Kind of like Josh Allen at times in the NFL, right? Things are just easy for him and he gets a little sloppy. But here, it's tight, man. I think this is a perfect mechanics. I think it's great throw. He gets out of the pocket, throws, puts a lot of power on the ball, and look at the accuracy. Outside, away from the defender, only place the receiver can get it. It's a great throw. Effortless is the word that perfectly describes Bryce Young's game. Bryce Young is just a natural thrower. I mean, here, it's the 40-yard line. He puts the perfect amount of touch, lob on the ball to feed it over the defender and get it right to the back pylon, whereas only his receiver can get it. I mean, this throw is sick. It's special. The kid's got it. And here is the final play that encapsulates what Bryce Young can be at his best. You want a player who steps up in the big moments, the big situations when you need a play, you need a throw? Here it is. Against Tennessee, Bryce Young drops back and delivers a perfect throw over the right shoulder, where only his receiver can get it, in the big moment against a really competitive Tennessee team. Bryce Young does it. You want a quarterback who can read a defense, knows where to go the ball instantly? Yep, here it is. Bryce Young does it. He looks left, goes back right, and just throws the ball deep and puts it in the perfect spot. And you want a quarterback with a good arm. Sure, I will say this is the one part that he's under the other quarterbacks at, and it's arm strength. But Bryce Young, he's got plenty of arm, and he can make any throw. This play just shows off what Bryce Young could be at his best. Here's the part of the video where I talk about what is holding Bryce Young back from being the locked-in, guaranteed future franchise quarterback for some team. And I hate to say it, I really do, because I hate buying into cliches and generalities. But Bryce Young's size is a factor. He's listed at 6 foot, 195 pounds. That's small. That's a really small quarterback. Now, like I said, I don't want to believe it because it's been true in the past. People break molds. We've seen it before and we'll see it again. But two things that stem off with Bryce Young being so small are A, I think It really hinders him as a runner, right? They don't want him to get beat up. 195 pounds, that's fragile. He's not big, he's athletic, but Alabama didn't use him as a weapon. He would scramble on his own, but they would never run read options for him. I really didn't see him run a single read option, and anytime he did any kind of quarterback run, he ran for 3 yards and slid. So his size is going to hold him back from being a true weapon at the next level, and it's going to be more of a scrambling quarterback type rather than designed runs. The next place that it holds him back, and I think this is the biggest flaw that I saw from Bryce Young's film, is his pocket presence. Now, I think he moves well within the pocket, but the one place that's lacking is his ability to move up into the pocket and move forward. I mentioned it earlier. I think Bryce Young does a bad job of using his momentum and stepping into a throw, and I'm going to show you why it matters. Although this throw results in a touchdown, in the NFL, it won't be. This ball hangs in the air and it doesn't have enough velocity on it. Bryce Young doesn't have a huge arm, so when he uses just hip rotation and upper body and just his arm, the ball can hang for a while, and it does here. Luckily, it ends in a touchdown, but if he continues to drop back and not step into throws, that could be really disastrous at the next level. Now, to show you exactly what I'm looking for out of my college prospect, it's Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow doesn't have a big arm. Still, in the NFL today, he doesn't have a huge arm. But what he lacks in arm strength, he makes up for in mechanics. Here, he drops back in the pocket, and you see him. He does his little hop step, and he drives through the ball and delivers a really strong throw in the back of the end zone. On this next play, Burrow's going to go deep. He gets the shotgun snap, he drops back, he plants his back foot, hop steps forward one time, and all his momentum's going towards his target, and that's how he gets power on this ball. That's the one thing that Bryce Young does not do consistently at all. Although Bryce Young clearly has a stronger arm than Joe Burrow is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and that's because he's consistent and has great mechanics. And here's a great example and shows why Bryce Young needs what I'll call a momentum step towards his target. Here, he's going to get the shotgun snap, he's going to take his 3-step drop, and once he does, he hits his final step, he stands in place. If he just tries to step up in the pocket, one little jump stop, if you want to call it, a little shuffle up, and uses his momentum towards the ball, this ball wouldn't end up really, really severely underthrown and just flutter. He'd be able to put some power under the ball and maybe get it to his target. Bryce Young has a bad habit of when he decides to actually step up in the pocket, he gets uncomfortable and he tries to run. But once he starts to run, he might find a receiver open and throws off platform off balance because he's already running. If Bryce Young would just step up in the pocket to make throws instead of immediately looking to run, he can make a lot more plays downfield. You'll see on this play against Ole Miss, he makes a great throw, but what was his footwork there? I mean, his feet were basically together, they were horizontal, they weren't even facing the receiver at all. That's an all upper arms throw, which is impressive, but not sustainable. Now, I'm going to ask the golden question. This is a question that I can't answer, you can't answer, no one can answer except for Bryce Young himself. The question is Bryce Young scared to step up in the pocket? Does he resent it? Does he not want to do it because he knows he's 6 foot, maybe, and can't see over the offensive line great? Is that why he hangs back so far so he can really observe the field? Is that why when he tries to escape, it's right, it's left, it's always outside, it's never up the middle? He doesn't step up into throws because he has a good enough arm to get away with it at college. And that's my biggest fear at the next level. That's the fear, is that he never develops a stable, inside the pocket, long developing plays. Quarterbacks need to step up, stay in the pocket, and deliver strong throws. And I worry Bryce Young's going to rely too much on his arm and try to bail out left and right instead of just staying inside the pocket and delivering strong throws over the middle. I've seen it on film, but I haven't seen him drive through throws consistently enough to make me 100% confident that he's going to be a great franchise quarterback. That's my biggest flaw on Bryce Young.